Welcome viewers to ReachIvy's webinar series. I'm Suman. I'm a senior counselor at ReachIvy. And ReachIvy is a boutique education advisory and career counseling firm. And we help many students and professionals around the world in meeting their professional or educational goals. Today's webinar is about resumes, the first document that people see about you and what they use to know your story. And we are going to quickly look at top 10 do's and don'ts, in our opinion, that you must keep in mind when you make your resume. So let's quickly jump into today's webinar. Okay, so starting with the first point, list all your accomplishments, education, and experiences. This is a big don't. Now think of resume as some sort of a story that you tell. You don't want to tell everything because it's exhaustive. What you want to make sure is um, how are your experiences, both education and life, aligned to the purpose of the application. For example, if you are you making a job application or are you making an education application? And even further down, what sort of a job are you applying for, or what sort of education degree are you applying for? Let's take two examples that I'll keep going back to throughout today's webinar. Let's take two applicants. One is applying, let's take education, for example. Say two applicants, one is a designer and is applying for a Master of Design program. And the other is an engineer, but is applying for an MBA program. Now, if the designer is applying for design master's program, needs to make sure that everything that they put on the resume kind of highlights their experience, the diversity and achievements in the field of design. So for example, if they have spent say 6 months or a year in a firm doing accounting or helping a family business in auditing, that is something you might not want to add to your resume. Remember, the more you put on the resume, the more effort it takes for the reader to read. So you want to be very picky about what you put. Let's the other example that we took was an engineer who was applying for an MBA school. Again, he or they would want to highlight every sort of business experience I've had, even if it's in the form of engineer. Like, for example, if they worked with the team to create a software product for a client, what they want to focus on is the actual dynamic of the team, and for example, how many people they worked with, what was the efficiency like, in what time were they able to accomplish the goals. So that will appeal to an MBA purpose, MBA application more than the engineering stuff will. So again, do not list all your accomplishments and education experiences. You must pick what you want to show based on what the purpose of your resume is. Second, exaggerating numbers and outcomes is a strict no from us. And the simple fact of the matter is, to begin with, it's dishonest. And it's something that somehow will come out because they have designed the admissions process or even interview process for jobs to be in a particular way that checks you in multiple ways. So if you speak a lie, it's not going to stand. And the second thing is, it doesn't add up to the whole story. For example, you exaggerate numbers here and there, and then you're talking about it in interviews or essays, or you are in the other section of the resume, you're talking about something else. There is a way the evaluators will come to know that this is exaggerated. So be very careful and be super honest. And other counselors can help you in making sure that even though your numbers are small, how do we bring out the most value add from that? So again, do not exaggerate numbers or outcomes. Third, using context-specific words and jargons are a strict no, because remember that the reader might not necessarily be from your field. Now, the only exception to this probably is PhD applications. Even there, if you have to make sure that, even only if you're 100% sure that the reader of this resume is going to be completely in understanding of the words that you use, is only then would we say use technical jargons. Otherwise, avoid them. It basically shows that you are, if you use jargons, it shows that you're not thoughtful enough, and it shows that you don't respect the admissions committee or the selectors backgrounds, because if they're not from yours, they will not get it. And the basic fund is choose neutral words and sentences that highlights your skills, but make sure that they're not something that only you or people from your background will understand. Fourth point, have the same resume for all universities or job applications. This is also a strict no. Going back to the first point, you must be sure of what the point of your resume is, what the purpose of your resume is. Even if you're applying to the same program in two different universities or to similar-ish job in two organizations, you have to customize the resume for the particular job or university. And there are many ways to do that. But the first check is, if you're using the same resume for multiple positions or applications, then you're not doing the right thing. And that's very important. Fifth, consistency of font style, color is a must do. And there are many reasons for it. The first, number one, being it shows that you're professional and your attention to detail is high. So if you use different font styles or colors or different alignment, it just shows poorly on you. And a very well-written resume with very good qualifications can get that slight little tinge of negativity if you are inconsistent with your style and formatting. It shows that you're serious. It shows that you checked your document multiple times before you submit it. And the most important factor, it's just easier to read. If you keep the same alignment of your timelines, for example, or you use the same currency formats or the same font styles, the reader just knows where to look for the information that you're giving them. So yeah, be consistent in whatever you do in the resume. Sixth point, customize the resume to the university's location, currency, context, and specializations. Now you must do that. And this is kind of the counterpoint to the previous one, where here, if you do this, if you customize the resume, it kind of shows that you're thoughtful. And not just that, it shows that you've done research in the university or the company's context. So for example, the location, example, the size of the team that you're going to work with, example, the turnover, or if you're applying for an organization, or if you're referring to say co-curricular activities you've done in the past, and you know that this university or this organization focuses on that as well. It shows, it again shows to the organization that you're serious about them and that you've done your homework. So do customize the resume according to different factors. A big no-no is making a 4-page resume. Do not do it. Often we get questions from students all the way from undergrad to PhD saying that I've done so much and how can I condense it to 1 page, 2 pages? And honestly, the fact of the matter is, don't forget that the resume is not the only thing that you're submitting in your application. It's supposed to be an introduction to you. It's supposed to be a story of you, but it's not the only thing. So there are other places that you'll get to represent information that are missing from the resume. But what a terse resume, say for example, a 1-page resume or a 2-page resume, shows to the employer or the admissions committee at the universities is that you're able to select, you're able to pick what you want to show. You're able to be brief, and that's a skill that's very important. There are popular resumes that you can check online about of successful leaders in business and otherwise, whose resume is one page and barely has any text. And that should be a good example for you to see how a brief resume can be highly impactful. Again, we help students with this as well through our services. And yeah, so just even if the university says there is no page limit to the resume, it's not an invitation for you to write a long resume. It's just an invitation for you to show how you can condense information, or you can pick information about yourself to show for a particular purpose. 8 point. Perfect grammar and sentence structures. Now this is a maybe, and there are multiple reasons to this. There is a slight difference between making grammatical mistakes or having slightly incomplete sentences where the skills and what you did is highlighted. And the reason we say it is every word that you put on the resume has to have a purpose, because you're taking precious real estate space for that particular word. So if sometimes you have to, if your sentence is too long and we are trying to make your resume shorter, we do cut out a few words and use stuff like semicolons, periods, and other kind of punctuations to show that you are not making perfect sentences. So so your information can be represented in a brief way. This does not give you a reason to use incorrect grammar. Make sure that you don't use incorrect grammar, but then if the sentence structures are truncated for the benefit of the size of the resume or your sentences, that's okay. Point 9. Google and then follow a resume template. Again, it's a maybe, because sometimes you do get resume templates that work for you, but sometimes you get some that just don't work for you. So the most, if you're trying to make a resume, there are a lot of templates out there. What you have to be very careful of is, does that serve the purpose that you are trying to achieve out of your resume? So some resumes are heavy on, say, showcasing experiences. Some resumes are heavy on showcasing co-curricular activities and education. It depends on what have you done in your life and what do you need to be showing. So if you've done a lot of leadership activities in your career in at college or at professional fields, you might want to add a leadership experiences field. If you've done a lot of social work, if you work in the development sector, you might want to add that section as well. So again, the template depends on what your story is and what your purpose is. Point 10. Using colors and symbols and photos. And again, a lot of people are on both on the yes side of the fence and no side of the fence, but I'm at a maybe, because again, it depends on the purpose of your resume. Going back to the example we took earlier of a designer applying for a Master of Design program and an engineer applying for an MBA program. Of course, the former needs to use colors and symbols because it's kind of an opportunity for the applicant to showcase their skills in the said department. However, as an MBA applicant, it's not that necessary, because you are trying to showcase your journey and business experience and other things like that. And then therefore using colors is not necessary. But if the purpose of the resume aligns to this use in the resume, then it's definitely something you need to do. Let's do a quick recap in reverse order of all the 10 points. Maybe use colors and symbols and photos based on what you're trying to achieve from the resume. Number 9, maybe Google and then follow a resume template based on whether it helps you tell your story and you highlight your experiences and skills. Maybe use perfect grammar and sentence structures based on whether you need to truncate a few sentence structures. However, do not use incorrect grammar. Incomplete is okay. Making a 4-page resume, don't. 1 or 2 maximum pages is what is recommended for all practical purposes. Again, showcase your ability to pick and be brief. So don't make a 4-page resume. Customize the resume to university's location, currency, context, and specializations to a university or a organization you're applying for work. Please do it. Again, it shows thoughtfulness. It shows that you've done your research, your homework, and it's a great practice. 5, consistent use of font, style, color, and formatting shows your seriousness, shows your professionalism. So please do it. Have the same resume for all universities or job applications. Please don't. If you're doing this, you know you're doing something wrong. And the other points we've referred to, covered in this webinar shows why it is so. Use context-specific words or jargons. Again, don't. It shows that you're not respectful of the reader's background. Make sure you use neutral sentences and neutral words that anyone will be able to understand, with the exception of PhD applications where you're sure that the reader is from your background. Exaggerate numbers and outcomes. It's plain dishonesty and it's not recommended. Do not list all your accomplishments, education, and experiences, because maybe all of them do not align to what purpose the resume is serving. So you want to pick what you want to showcase from the list of things you've done based on if it serves a purpose or not. So yeah, that was our webinar for today. If you have any questions, please feel free to send in an email at help@reachivy.com. Thank you for joining us.